Hi, this is David Boje, GrowthOD.org, and I'm here to tell you I believe Walmart is about to go under, maybe go bankrupt, go extinct, for one good reasons. In the before are many history lessons, and as George Santayana said, those who do not learn the lessons of history are doomed to repeat them. And the lessons of history on this case are something that I've seen. Sears went under. Kmart went under. Maybe it's time for Walmart leaders to learn the lessons of history, what I call going into the before, respecting the stories that are already there.
Could one of the biggest, most dominant companies on the entire planet be heading down a very familiar and very, very dangerous path?
So is Walmart headed for the retail graveyard? This isn't just about spreadsheets and quarterly reports. It's really a mystery about the very soul of a company. We see Walmart everywhere, right? It's this symbol of total retail dominance. But history is absolutely littered with giants that seemed invincible, right up until the moment they weren't.
Think about it. The ghosts of retail past are all around us. Sears, which was basically the Amazon of its day. Kmart, a pioneer of that whole one-stop shop idea. And look, their collapse wasn't some overnight thing. It was a slow decay, a gradual decline. And their stories? They hold some critical clues for what might be happening at Walmart as we speak.
So, to solve this mystery, we can't just look at the numbers. We need a more powerful way to diagnose what's going on. We're going to use a fascinating approach from Professor David Boje that looks right past the balance sheets and directly into the heart of leadership itself.
Okay, so the first part of our diagnostic tool is something called PMQ, or the Personal Mindfulness Quotient. The easiest way to think about this is like a leader's internal operating system. Is a leader grounded, calm, self-aware, and empathetic? Or are they just reactive, totally disconnected, and driven by their own ego? That inner state, it has massive outward consequences. Then you've got the second piece of the puzzle, DHA, the Dialogic Health Assessment. Now, if PMQ is the internal game, DHA is the external one. This isn't just about talking at people. It's about genuine dialogue. Can a leader actually listen? Can they build trust and really connect with their community? Their employees, their customers, or do they just bark orders from the top down? And here's where it gets really crucial. When you put PMQ and DHA together, you get two completely different kinds of leaders. On one side, you have someone who's grounded and connected. They listen, they co-create value with their community. But on the other side, you get a leader who is purely focused on financial engineering, on the numbers, ignoring the very human element that built the company in the first place.
And this right here, this is the goal. This is what Professor Boje calls the Our Town vibe. It's what you get when you have high PMQ and DHA working together. It's inspired by that classic Thornton Wilder play, and it's all about finding that meaning and connection in the everyday stuff. It's about those little wow moments, a real conversation, a genuinely helpful gesture. Those are the things that build a culture of real trust and loyalty.
All right, so we have our framework. Now, let's put it to the test, shall we? We're going to apply our PMQ and DHA diagnostic to those fallen giants we talked about, Kmart and Sears, and let's just see what their leadership autopsies reveal.
Wow, this slide tells such a powerful story. In the top left corner, with high PMQ and high DHA, you have Kmart's founder, Sebastian Kresge. The guy was grounded, connected, he built a true community hub. But then, just look at the stark contrast down in the bottom right. That's the low PMQ, low DHA quadrant. And that's where later CEOs like Charles Conaway and Eddie Lampert ended up. They were disconnected, reactive, and treated the company like a hedge fund. And they drove it straight into the ground.
Now, let's switch over to the Sears chart, and you are going to see a disturbingly familiar pattern. The early leaders, Richard Sears and Julius Rosenwald, total visionaries, high PMQ, high DHA. They built a literal empire by listening to rural America and creating a real dialogue. And then, what do you know? Look who's in that bottom right corner again. Eddie Lampert, whose leadership style completely ignored the company's human soul in favor of pure financial engineering.
Okay, so the diagnostic works. It pretty accurately predicted the downfall of two absolute titans of retail. So now,
it's time to turn that same powerful lens on our original subject, Walmart.
First, just a quick reminder of the incredible scale we are talking about here. From just one single store in Arkansas in 1962, Walmart exploded into a global behemoth, becoming the largest private employer on the planet. Its success was built on a very specific philosophy. But, as we've just seen, philosophies can change.
And this slide, this gets us right to the core of our diagnosis. On one hand, you have the founder, Sam Walton. He was the absolute definition of high PMQ and DHA. Frugal, always hands-on, always talking to his employees and customers, and he even offered profit sharing. Now compare that to the current strategy under CEO Doug McMillon. The focus has completely shifted to digital transformation, viewing stores less as community centers and more as, well, logistics hubs.
So, what does this shift really mean? Is it a sign of decline? I mean, critics will argue that this relentless focus on automation and efficiency is destroying Walmart's community roots, creating a totally impersonal experience. Or is it a brilliant adaptation? The defense is that, hey, Walmart is just evolving to compete with Amazon, prioritizing the convenience and speed that we all seem to demand now. And you know what? Both arguments have a point.
So, after running the whole diagnosis, what's the ultimate lesson here? It all comes back to that central idea of the Our Town vibe, and that's a lesson that applies way, way beyond the world of retail.
The beautiful lesson from Professor Boje's work is that any organization can rebuild this connection. It starts by looking for those little wow moments, those small, simple human interactions that build real trust. It means practicing real, healthy dialogue, where the stories being told in the boardroom actually match the conversations happening in the hallways. And critically, it means avoiding that Lampard trap, the fatal mistake of letting financial spreadsheets completely suffocate the human culture.
And that leaves all of us with one final and I think crucial question to think about. I want you to consider your own organization, your own team, maybe your own leadership style. When it really comes down to it, is your workplace truly built on dialogue, or is it being run by data alone? The answer to that question might just predict its entire future.